Good evening, this is your AI host, J. I'm here with the automatically generated, Journato, evening headlines on May 30, 2023. The perfect blend: how coffee farms in Costa Rica are mixing wildlife, agriculture and tourism. Thousands evacuate as Nova Scotia fights wildfires. BBC, thousands evacuate from Nova Scotia wildfires. The Independent, fire rages near Halifax, their house was already burning, the big story. City News, thousands evacuated in Nova Scotia as Canada wildfires continue to burn, latest from ITV News. ITV News, Canada wildfires, what's causing it? Vantage on First Post. Guyana, 15-year-old girl charged as adult with murdering 19 people in school fire. Sky News, girl, 15, charged with 19 counts of murder after fire at school in Guyana. The Guardian, pupil accused of killing 19 children in Guyana school arson. The Times, teenage girl in Guyana charged as adult with 19 counts of murder in dormitory fire. The Independent, girl, 15, charged as adult with 19 counts of murder in Guyana school fire. India's protesting wrestlers to sink medals in Ganges. BBC, India's protesting wrestlers say will toss medals into Ganges. Al Jazeera English, Indian wrestlers protest, Delhi police say sex abuse protest, cancelled, after they marched to new parliament. The Independent, as India's wrestlers stand on the banks of the Ganges, let's hang our heads in shame. The Indian Express, wrestlers protest, Delhi police file rioting case after detention. Rock, flour, from Greenland can capture significant CO2, study shows. You will be killed, Iran's female journalists speak out on brutal crackdown. The Guardian, Iranian female journalist goes on trial on charges linked to Rimini protests, France 24 English. France 24 English, Iran tries female journalists who reported on Mahsa Amini's death. BBC, Iran reporters who revealed Mahsa Amini's death appear in court. Al Jazeera English, Mahsa Amini, trials of journalists who broke story begins in Iran. Polish probe into Russian influence angers EU. BBC, EU debates Poland's controversial new Russian influence commission. Euronews, US, EU criticize Polish plans for law that could keep opposition from holding office. The Independent, political uproar in Poland after Duda pledges to sign Kremlin Commission law. Politico Europe, US and EU express concern over Poland's new Russian influence commission. South Africa grants Putin and BRICS leaders diplomatic immunity for summit. The Guardian, South Africa will give Putin and allies diplomatic immunity. The Times, arrest Putin, South Africa's opposition urges government. Politico Europe, South Africa grants diplomatic immunity for attendees of BRICS event, WION Dispatch, English News. WION, South Africa moves to let Putin attend BRICS summit despite ICC arrest warrant over Ukraine war. Theranos founder Elizabeth Holmes to surrender to Texas prison today, live. The Independent, watch live, Theranos CEO Elizabeth Holmes arrives at Bryan prison farm. Sky News, Elizabeth Holmes is going to prison. Will she ever pay victims too? BBC, opinion, as Elizabeth Holmes heads to prison, has Silicon Valley learned anything? The Washington Post, Theranos founder Elizabeth Holmes expected to begin 11-year sentence. Japan government under renewed pressure to end same-sex marriage ban. The Guardian, Japanese court says not recognizing same-sex marriage is unconstitutional. The Independent, policy against same-sex marriage unconstitutional, Japanese court rules. The National, Japan court rules that a bar on same-sex marriage is unconstitutional. Reuters, major step for equality as Japan court rules against same-sex marriage ban. Iowa building collapse. What we know about Davenport apartment disaster. The Independent, Iowa building collapse. Woman rescued after 24 hours. BBC, woman rescued from partially collapsed Iowa building as city planned to demolish it. CBS News, everything we know about Iowa building collapse is rescue and search efforts continue. The Independent, watch, woman rescued from partly collapsed Iowa building. Countries divided over United Nations negotiations on treaty to tackle worsening plastics crisis. Sky News, plastic pollution is a time bomb warns France's President Macron. Euronews, plastic recycling in focus as Paris talks underway. Reuters, 3 little-known reasons why plastic recycling could actually make things worse. The Conversation, Science, international treaty could potentially cut plastic pollution by 80%. NATO troops on guard in Kosovo town after clashes with Serb protesters. The Guardian, violent clashes erupt between Serbian protesters and NATO forces in Kosovo, Kosovo-Serbia tensions. WION, Kosovo, fresh clashes as NATO troops called into northern towns. BBC, Kosovo protests, all you need to know about rising Serbia-Kosovo tensions. Bloomberg, Kosovan Serbs clash with NATO soldiers in Kosovo, DW News. How Erdogan's win makes Turkey a much more dangerous place to be LGBT+. The Independent, Erdogan's election win, what does this mean for Turkey? Channel 4 News, Turkish artists fear crackdown after Erdogan wins election. Art newspaper, President Erdogan's victory is a challenge for the West. The Telegraph, The Guardian view on Erdogan's victory, a triumph for polarization, not unity. 10 people killed after overloaded bus falls into gorge in India. Sky News, 10 dead, 55 injured as bus of pilgrims falls into gorge in India. The Independent, at least 10 dead as bus carrying Hindu pilgrims falls into gorge. The Northern Echo, 10 dead, over 50 injured as bus going from Amritsar to Katra falls into gorge on Jammu-Srinagar National. Times of India, bus falls into gorge on Jammu-Srinagar National Highway, WION Shorts. Moscow drone attack, Putin says Ukraine trying to frighten Russians. BBC, Ukraine war, Moscow drone attacks targeted civilians, Putin. BBC, drone attack in Moscow leaves buildings damaged. CNN, after drone attack, fears, anger and a sense of calm in Moscow. Al Jazeera English, military briefing, Ukraine's daring shaping operations stretch Russian defenses. This was all for the news. Thanks for listening. Please do not forget to like and subscribe.